Good morning again. Did we all go into kind of a slumber? Okay, so we have been discussing about this wishes for release from the perilous strait of the intermediate state. Hero releasing from fright. So this is not the perilous strait of Hormuz. This is intermediate state. So anybody can recall what we discussed in the last class? How about you, Taylor? So we discuss about the faults of not cultivating the mindfulness of death. It is so important if we are able to remember not only the fact that the death is certain, but also that the time of death is uncertain. So that will serve as a catalyst for us to do what is more meaningful, or what makes our life more, full, or make our life fuller, so that when the time comes, we have no regret. Remember, we talked about the three types of practitioners. The highest or the greatest practitioners, they are happy to encounter death. They don't mind, because for them it's like changing their clothes to discuss this old ragged body and then get a fresh one. And then those who are in the medium level, they may not really look forward to dying, but at least they have no hesitation, they have no fear, because they have lived their life well. And then the lowest level of the practitioner, they do not have regret. So if we are not able to be like those great practitioners who look forward to death, but at least we should be able to come under the category where they have no regret. So many ordinary people, many of us, when the time comes, it feels with a lot of regrets. So this is to help us remind about the inevitable death, and then prepare for it. So the first few stanzas are kind of a preliminary. The prayers of supplication connected with the common preliminary practices. So we are through the first stanza. So today, this is what we talked about. So the importance of refuge. I and all beings throughout space and without exception go for refuge until the ultimate enlightenment. To the past, present, and future Buddhas, the doctrine, the spiritual community. May we be released from the fright of this life, the intermediate state, and the next. The important part of refuge is not just reciting these lines of refuge prayers. Refuge, actual refuge, real refuge, must come from within. It's really the way of thinking. So it is entrusting ourselves, our welfare, to the three jewels. But that must propel by these two causes. What are the two causes? The fear. So fear is not just ordinary fear. People can be fearful of just death. So that does not really help. Whether you are fearful or not, death will come. There's nothing you can do about it. So we are fearful because when death comes, we don't know what is our future. We may be born in the condition where we have intense suffering. We want to make sure that we are born in a favorable environment or condition where we don't have to suffer so much. So at the moment, even though we are alive, but from the actions that we do, we can kind of guess where we are going to be. We have a saying, "Ngama kangje tade lu la de, chima kangdo tade le la de." So what means? What we have done in the past is that we don't have to do any special checking or anything. Just look at our condition, our situation, our state of mind, or our present condition. So if our present condition is happy and joyful, and if everything is going well, that means we must have done good in the past. Whereas this life is full of suffering, one after another, that means we haven't really done much virtue in the past. So likewise, chima kandro tade lela dos. So where we are going to be is just look at your actions. If we closely examine our actions, it is not surprising that many of the texts say that we are more likely to be born in unfavorable condition. Because out of 24 hours, we hardly spend much time cultivating virtue. So if this kind of practice continues, and then finally, when the death comes, so there will be regret, and we know where are we going to be born. So that's why we are seeking refuge. First, that this fear that if my life ends, this life ends, there is a danger, there is a risk that I will be born in a worse condition. Therefore, I see that three jewels have the capability to protect me or prevent me from falling into the lower realms. Of course, we have to understand that Buddha, the three jewels, how three jewels protect is not just that what we see in movies. Buddhas or three jewels, the Buddhas just raise their hands and then some kind of light emits from the palm, like we see in the movie, oh, you are saved. There is no such thing in Buddhism. Tumnan Tibu Chui Mitushin, Dovetu Nichagi Mesela. So in Buddhism there is no such thing as Buddha touch our head and we are purified. So if there was such a case, then why wouldn't Buddha have done that? We would all be enlightened by now. Even during Buddha's time, many were liberated. Countless sentient beings were liberated. But countless sentient beings could not be liberated. So the way how Buddha or Three Jewels liberate us or protect us is through showing the path. It's like a guide. The guide will tell you, in order to journey to this particular destination, you should do this and this and this. You will arrive here, then you take this bus, you take this flight, and then eventually you will get there. But we need to embark on the journey. We have to travel. The guide just telling all this won't do, and he won't be able to just lift us and throw us to our destination. We still have to walk the journey. So that's important. So from this one, we must the takeaway is that in order to have authentic refuge, then we need to be able to cultivate these two causes. The quality of our refuge depends on the quality of these two causes. If we are able to cultivate these two qualities well, then our refuge also becomes well or good quality. Otherwise, it will be just merely reciting the prayers. So we are not going to discuss in detail the three objects and all that. Many of you have already studied this. So we are going to the next one. First, I thought that I will just kind of read through and won't spend much time on the preliminary section, because I assume that many of you have already received teachings on this and you must have read and understood well. But then the Lamrim that we discussed was I think some 8 years ago. When I first started teaching at Kachuling, we started with Lamrim topics. So that was 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. Time has passed. And our memory is quite fuzzy. We don't remember. We need constant revision or recap. And also there are newcomers. So I thought that we will just try to cover this topic as much as the time permits. So this is the Tibetan. So I normally read the Tibetan first. Nyega jikbar lave tensang di kenyen kidu damge kab yimbe tume tsede chawe me yingbar tunje nyingu lembar chingi lobs. May we extract the meaningful essence of this life support without being distracted by the senseless affairs of this life. Since this good foundation, hard to gain and easy to disintegrate, presents an opportunity of choice between profit and loss, comfort and misery. So in Tibetan it starts with Nyega Jigbarlave Tensangdis. So here it comes at the end. Since this good foundation, hard to gain and easy to disintegrate, actually is not really foundation. So basically saying this human body, what we call a precious human life. So this is very hard to come by from the Buddhist point of view. So in Tibetan we call it Teljor. So Teljor, there are two, it is made out of two, not really words, two words, let's say, Teljor. So one normally translates as leisure or leisure and endowment. So leisure means you have the time, you have time, or normally the common usage is that deva means I'm free to do. So here in this sense, the leisure is like the condition is such that we can practice. So normally we say that there are 8 states or 8 conditions that are not conducive to Dharma practice. So our condition, the human body, is free from these 8 unfavorable conditions. So therefore it is called the leisure. Freedom from 8 states in which there is no opportunity to practice Dharma. So what are these? So we normally divide into 2, 4 non-human states and human states. So non-human, hell being, hungry ghost, animal, long-lived God. So sometimes people have a blockage when we talk about hell being, hell and all that. And especially the background you are coming from, so it kind of creates a blockage. But hell being, you can think in different way. You can take it as there's a state there. Literally there's a, what you call, place where there are such beings. Or it's just state of mind. Or it's just a condition. Even in human realm, you can have health if we look from that point of view. There are countless people who are undergoing unimaginable suffering. And sometimes like, how could that be possible for a human being to experience or undergo such suffering? So if you have difficulty really understanding hell being as some place, then that's one way to look at it. Is really the state or the condition, one's condition. So we are, in that sense, we are very fortunate. As we did in our meditation, we are so fortunate that we are not born in hell realm. So hell realm, of course, in all the realms, as long as we are in samsara, there is always suffering. Suffering is part and parcel of samsaric existence. However, some existence or some realms have lesser suffering. Intensity is less, whereas others undergo so much pain and suffering. So like hell being, they have their own suffering. We normally talk about cold hair and hot hair, so we won't go into that. And then hungry ghosts. Those beings suffer from hunger, starvation, thirst. So, hungry ghost situation, we can relate. When we are so hungry, and when we are so hungry and thirsty, if you are asked to do a meditation, sit down for half an hour and do meditation, would we be able to do that? When we were so thirsty and asked to do some practice, we won't be able to do. So these beings are not just for an hour or two or one day, whole life, constantly experience that suffering. They cannot find anything to eat. Even if they find, somehow it doesn't help them. So imagine if we are born in such a condition. There's no way we will be able to practice Dharma. An animal. Some people are so naive, especially young people. One time, a young girl told me that, she wants to be born as tiger. To her, tiger is so powerful. Maybe it has shiny stripes. But when we really think about the suffering, they go. There's a lot of suffering. Even though they are mighty, powerful, but they have their own, predators. They are also in constant fear. And when it comes to Dharma practice, how can animals, even the smartest animal, cannot understand one Dharma word? We see all kinds of talent shows nowadays. They bring on these dogs to do all kinds of tricks. And it is so surprising that they could do all that trick. But no matter how smart, how clever they are, they cannot comprehend any Dharma instructions. So they are ignorant all the time. But when we really observe them, most of the animals, they are very ignorant, and this anger, especially anger, comes very naturally. Even if you are the owner, you give something, a piece of bone, and then you try to help, they get angry and bite at you. It happened to me. I have a dog called Kelsang. She's very sweet. But when she is eating, never go near. She will bite you. Somehow they think that we are taking her food. And I was the one who gave her the food. But you see, they cannot even understand that thing, let alone comprehend Dharma instructions, let alone understanding meditation on emptiness. So that's why when we really think carefully, animal life is not favorable for Dharma practice. And there's something called long-lived God. So these are in terms of the spiritual achievements, they are quite advanced in that sense because of their concentrative ability. So they are born in this particular condition where they can remain in meditative absorption for years and years. But it's just that they are in that absorption, nothing is going on. And they will remain in that state until the karma to be there exhausts or finishes. And then they are reborn, most of the time in lower realms. So they can remain in that absorption for countless years, but it's kind of wasted. They are not doing proper meditation. It's just what you call the word is Kong out or zone, is that zone out? Huh? Zone out. It's like there. So that's why it says a human rebirth is so precious. Human rebirth is free from all this. We have intellectual. We have intellect. We have the ability to distinguish what is right and what is wrong. And then not only we are free from these four non-human states, we are lucky enough to be born during the time when Buddha has come. Imagine if we are born where Buddha never came. So when we talk about the time, we call it as era or eons. It is divided into 4 different eons. So some eons, it's completely, for eons and eons, it's what we call the dark eon, where Buddha has not appeared. So even at that time, even if we were born with so much intellect and so much, we were born as so intelligent, so smart, but there is no Dharma. But we are lucky in a sense that our time achieving this human body is during the time of the period where Buddha has appeared. Even if Buddha has appeared, if we are born with deficient faculties, then same like animals, we will have challenges really understanding. And then the holding wrong views. Even we have no deficiency in our faculties, if we can understand correctly, we are born in the time where Buddha has come. But somehow we have this wrong view that there's no such thing as karma. There's no such thing as 3 jewels. That would be terrible, especially when you have this wrong view about there's no karma. then there's nothing to guide you. You will have no hesitation in committing negative karma. The only thing is the law. When it comes to killing, you will have no hesitance. As long as I'm not caught, I will engage in stealing, lying, anything. At the moment, those who have this kind of faith in karma, we are not just refraining from this, not just because that, oh, there is a law, the police will come after me. That's not the thing. We know that that's not right. That's harmful action. Somehow it affects or harms another person, so I should not do. Or it's like, if I do this, I will reap a result. I will have to experience it in the future. So that helps us in being a better human being, in doing virtue and avoiding or abstaining from committing negative action. Then remote land. Remote land is where even though Buddha has come, but Dharma has not flourished in that part of the world. So for many years, like 100 years ago, we can say that America is also kind of a remote land. There was no Dharma. Then slowly Dharma came. And even now, there are many countries where Dharma is still not present there. So if there's no Dharma in that part of the world, people will not encounter that. People will miss that great opportunity. So, going through this, we realize that, oh, we are so lucky to obtain this human rebirth. We have all these, because of this, we have all that condition. But that's not enough. If we have all the free, our body is only free from these unfavorable conditions, but it cannot achieve much. It doesn't have that much value. Then it's okay to waste it. But from the Dhamma point of view, this human body can achieve so much. Remember we talked about genie? Aladdin's genie. Genie, you call it genie, isn't it? You know that Aladdin's lamp. So you rub that and then that genie comes out and fulfills all your wish. Genie, if we had a genie or Aladdin's lamp, that would really benefit us in many ways. It can do so many things. You want a big car? There. You want a Ferrari? You can even have hundreds of Ferrari, not just one Ferrari. If you want billions of dollars, it can provide. But if you ask, can you please make sure that I be born as human again? Can you make sure, can you prevent me from being born as animal? It cannot do that. Whereas this human body, if we want to ensure that we are not born in lower realms, this can do that. Not only that, if we want to make sure that we want to have complete liberation from samsara, this body can do that. And also if we want to achieve full enlightenment, become Buddha, this human body can enable us to achieve that. even if we want to achieve enlightenment within one lifespan, this body has the potential. So we fail to realize the value. We underestimate what we have achieved of. Then the next part is, it says here, without being distracted between profit and loss, where is it? Hard to gain, easy to disintegrate. If this kind of body we can achieve again and again, then it's okay. So this life, I just enjoy it. I don't need to do practice any Dharma. Because next life I can focus. But there is no such thing. It says it's so hard. The analogy given is like hard to imagine. It's like achieving a human body, precious human body with this kind of capability, condition, favorable condition to practice or conducive to Dharma practice. It's like throwing a handful of beans on the wall and then hoping that one will stick. So if we are to throw a handful of beans on the wall, there is a possibility that one or two may stick to the wall. We cannot say for sure that, nothing will stick. There is a possibility. So that much possibility of achieving the human rebirth again. Anyway, so now that we have this human rebirth, this is the time, so I'm not going to cover that. So this is the time to choose between loss and profit. We all like to choose profit. We all like gain. We all like profit. Nobody likes loss. So if that is the case, the Spenjin Chui Gyaltsen is saying that this is the time to really make the right choice. So if you decide to extract the meaning or essence of this life, then we are choosing the profit over loss. Whereas if we prioritize other worldly gains, if we continue chasing after material gains and ignore Dharma practice, then we are choosing loss over profit. So I like this conclusion. In Lamrim Chamo, at the end, Lama Tsongkhapa made these 4 conclusions or 4 resolutions. So this really captures or summarizes the whole point. So the first one is like seeing the necessity of practicing Dharma. We need to see the reason why is practicing Dharma so important. Why do we need Dharma? Why do we need to practice Dharma? So the simple answer is, we all seek happiness. So Dharma, of course, is doing virtue and abandoning non-virtue. So because we all seek happiness, happiness comes from causes and conditions. Not only causes and conditions that corresponds with the result. So if we want happiness, then we need to cultivate virtue. So this is the first one. The reason why Dharma practice is necessary is that because we all seek happiness. There is no other way to achieve lasting happiness. We are talking about lasting happiness. Temporary happiness you can achieve doing all kinds of things, but lasting happiness must come from Dharma practice. So that is why there's this need to practice Dharma. I think we stop here. We have the Hui is it? Hui family has brought vegan egg rolls and spring rolls. So please, and there's tea as well. Enjoy. Let's have 15 minutes break. Okay, let's continue. So the first resolution is that to extract the essence of Dharma, the essence of this life, is to see the necessity of practicing Dharma. So once you see the necessity, then maybe you will think about it. You will consider practicing Dharma. And then the second one is recognizing the capability to accomplish these practices. So you may see the necessity to practice Dharma, but then you may feel like, oh, I don't have the means. I don't have the capability to really accomplish anything. So what is the point? So he says that we have that capability because we have obtained this inner and external facility. Because this human body, we discussed about the external condition. We are free from all those unfavorable conditions. And then the external facilities, inner and external facilities. So here, inner in the sense that we are born as this human rebirth, or born as human, and which is free from all the 8 unfavorable conditions. Then external facilities, as we have met Dharma, we have met teachers who can teach or show you the path, and then we have all the resources necessary, especially in the West, in America. Facility is so great, so there's no reason to complain. So this is the second resolution. So first we need to see the necessity to practice Dharma, and then you say, okay, I see the point, but when you feel that I don't have the capability, we have to tell ourselves that we have the ability, we have all the necessary conditions, all the resources. First of all, we have achieved this human body, and then we have all the resources. If we were really struggling with our basic needs, that's a bit difficult. If you are really like day to day, you are really struggling to find food and shelter, and for that kind of people, if you say, oh, you have to practice Dharma, they don't have the luxury to spend time to do Dharma practice, because they have to first ensure that they don't die from starvation. Whereas in our case, we have all the means, we have no excuses. And then we must realize that the necessity to accomplish the practice in this life, we must practice this life. The reason being that because this opportunity does not come often. This may be our last chance. So let's say if we are in some difficulty, and if you are told that this is your only chance, wouldn't we really try to maximize that opportunity? We will try to really use that opportunity. So likewise, this may be our last opportunity. After this, we may be born elsewhere. So the danger of not achieving another human being, or being born as animal, for example, is that once you are born as animal, it is very hard to get out of that. Buddha himself has told that, has given this analogy. Those beings who are going from higher realm to lower realm is like the number of sands in river Ganga. So the number of sands in river Ganga, if you are to count, is countless. You cannot count. Whereas those who are kind of going from being born from a lower realm to higher realm is like a small amount of sand on Buddha's nail, on top of the nail. If you try to get or scoop sand with this thumb and try to get as much sand as possible on your nail, you won't get much. So that's the analogy the Buddha used. So this shows that it is very easy to go from up there to down there, but it is very hard to journey uphill. We can understand, we can even use our common sense or rational. When you look at animals, they hardly generate virtuous mind. Hardly. Because they don't know. Hardly. And we always say that whether an action becomes a virtue or non-virtue is all based on motivation. Do you think that animal can adopt or set a good motivation? Cannot. And then we also say that at the time of death, the mental state at the time of death is so important. We have to generate virtuous thought in order to achieve a good rebirth. Do you think the animal can generate a virtuous state of mind at the time of death? They don't even know that that is the requirement. And while in that form, they don't do any virtues, rarely do any virtues. But on the other hand, all the negative actions, they continue, repeatedly engage. And then at the time of that, if even they're able to generate some kind of positive attitude, then we can say that, there is a chance that they may be born in a higher realm. But they cannot do that. So from that logic, we can tell that it is most likely to be born either as animal or something else. So they continue and continue. So that's why it's saying that while we have the opportunity, while we have this opportunity, we must do, because such opportunity is difficult to obtain. And then we may say that, I understand. First of all, I understand that I need to practice Dharma. And also I realize that I have all the resources. I'm capable of doing all that. And I also know that this opportunity is hard to come, so I have to do. But we say that we always delay, procrastinate. Okay, we will always put it to later list of doing things later. So say we cannot do that. We must practice right away. We must start practicing right away, because we may die any time. Time of death is uncertain. So I find this very, very, strong points. We just have to contemplate on these 4 points. And this will really push us to engage in more meaningful things in our life. You want another break? So now we come to the third stanza. Drupa Rinpoche Saba Maludze Tumbu Tagu Gebe Tamachi Chiwar Mase Namchi Chamebe Lome Jula Yawar Chinji Lobs. So making this prayer, may we realize, reflecting on death and impermanence, overcoming attachment to samsara. May we realize that there is no time to waste. At the moment, we have difficulty. We hardly realize this. May we realize that there is no time to waste. Death being definite. First of all, death is certain. Anybody will die. There is nobody who has lived forever. But the time of death is indefinite. If we know that there is a timeline, then we can prepare. If we know that we will not die until at the age of 80, then it's okay. Let me first spend the 60 years doing other things, and then I can commit the next 20 years to Dharma practice. But there is no such thing. There's no guarantee that you will live until 80 years old. And most importantly, we are obsessed. We chase after all that worldly materials, worldly gains. So what has gathered will separate. We may have worked so hard. We enslaved ourselves in securing all this, but in the end, all that will separate. What has been accumulated will be consumed without residue. Drupa Rinpoche Sabba Maludze, will be actually more like will be used. At the end of rising comes descent. Normally that is the fact. Whatever is born, eventuality is end. It's not just that it started, it was born and then later part then started to start its end. But the moment it was born, it has already triggered the end. At the end of rising comes descent. The finality of birth is death. We call it Gebetama Chiwayins. So, contemplating on this, so we are making prayers that may we be able to realize this and then really shift our attention to doing something worthwhile, something which has long-term benefit rather than just for this life. So how to cultivate mindfulness of death? So in Lamrim, we have these three main points of contemplation. So the contemplation that death is certain. So death will come. That so in Lamrim it says, Lord of death is definitely coming. And nothing can prevent it. Remember we discussed about this verse, whether you go to the mountains, whether you swim to the deep depth of oceans, there is no place that is free from death. Then the contemplation that the time of death is uncertain. So each of these points, it comes with the three supporting points. So not only death is certain, the time of death is uncertain. so it provides lifespan. So normally we call it this different continents. So we are in Zambuling, so this is our earth. So in other continents, there are 4 continents according to the Buddhist cosmology. So there are other continents, they have fixed lifespan. So people or the beings there will remain alive for a particular number of years. So that would be very helpful. And then, but in our world, there is no fix. So when first what we call world began or our existence began, people tend to live for 1,000 years. And then it started to diminish. And now we call it Tselo Jaba, is the people's age, average age. Not really average, it's like the maximum is 100. They will come to a time where 10 years is like the maximum. Wow, he lived so long, 10 years. So that's why our earth or the world, when it comes to lifespan, it fluctuates. There's nothing fixed. Since we are born in this earth, in this world, so we are subject to that. And I like this second point. Causes of death are many and causes of life are few. The causes of life or causes to survive are few. I like this point very much. Causes of life are many. Causes of death are many. There are so many things that can cause us death. And the causes of life are few. Causes of life or causes to survive. And why is causes of death are many is that even things, the causes that are supposed to sustain us, to help us live long, can become causes of our death. For example, medicine. People die from consuming medicine. Medicine is supposed to heal you. Food is the only thing that really helps us to sustain, give us energy. People die from eating food, consuming food. And all the things that we use for our comfort. Car, how many die from car accident? I still remember Kobe Bryant that day. Helicopter is supposed to help him travel. Helicopter crash. He died. And these are supposed to help us or ease our challenges. These are resources that are supposed to help us sustain our life, but they can all become the causes of our death. So that's why it says causes of death are many. And even if the causes of death are many, but our body is really hard and built, very steady, then it's not much to worry about. No matter how harsh the condition is if our body is very strong and steady, it can stand. But our body is so fragile. People die from just one fall. Some of you just small pebble, and we know about somebody died from those. That shows that our body is so fragile. So, taking all this into consideration, we will come to the conclusion that, time of death is uncertain. I can die any time. Finally, the contemplation that at the time of death, nothing helps except Dharma practices. Friends cannot help. You may have hundreds of friends. When the time comes, you have to go alone. They cannot even take or share their pain and suffering, let alone accompany you in that unknown journey and destination. Resources cannot help. You have to leave everything. Even the body that you cherish so much, you have worked so hard for your body to take care of it, that will leave you, that will abandon you. You alone have to travel. So look at the statistics. This I think I did this a few years ago. It's like unbelievable. This must be worldwide. Each day, nearly 2 people die each second. Approximately 7,400 people die every day in the United States. Every 12 seconds, a person dies in the US. We feel that we are so, hard and so stable. Our life is so stable. There will come a time that we will be counted in one of these statistics. At the time of death, nothing helps except Dharma practices. Look at this. $839 billion net worth. I cannot even fathom that amount. But when the time comes, will there be a red carpet waiting for them? I don't think so. Down there, 0 billion, anything helps, God bless. Same. When the time comes, whether you are a billionaire or a homeless person, same treatment, as long as unless you have virtue, you have lived your life virtuously. This is a saying in Tibetan. When you pulled a strain of hair from butter, not even the slightest iota or the slightest trace of butter remains on the hair. In the same way, when death comes, we cannot take with us any material wealth or possessions. We would like to, but we cannot. It's like pulling a hair out from the butter. No butter sticks on it. This is what Steve Jobs has supposedly said. At this moment, lying on the bed, sick and remembering all my life, I realize that all my recognition and wealth that I have is meaningless in the face of imminent death. So after contemplating on this, we have to come to these 3 conclusions, or make 3 resolves. The first resolve is that since death is definite, since we are going to die sooner or later, we have to make the determination that we must practice Dharma. And the second conclusion, since the time of death is uncertain, starting right now, from now on, I will practice Dharma. Since at the time of death, nothing except the Dharma will be of benefit, I will commit to Dharma only. Can we do that? But at least you can try. That's why I normally tell that at the moment it may be like 90% this worldly thing, maybe 10%. But we can start to, change the scale. Maybe add a bit more in that scale so that it will be a bit heavier. And then slowly maybe it can reach 50-50. That is substantial. And I like this analogy. So the first one is about that death is certain. So this analogy is like, I don't know whether it's relevant here or not, in Tibet or in other parts of the world. So we dry the grains. It could be rice grain, it could be wheat grain. So we use, like when I was young, we used the road, because our house is there and there's a road there. So we use the road to lay all this grass so that the grain with the husk, so the cars will keep moving and it helps to remove the husk and separate that one. So we lay on those. So they say if you have laid down those sacks and sacks full of grains on that ground, and then somehow you were told that there is a flood coming from there, and eventually it will reach where you have scattered all that grain. So what would you do? What would the person do? As soon as they hear that, oh, there is a water coming, you will try to collect as much as you can. You wouldn't say, oh, let the water come, I'll let it all washed away. Of course you may say that, but a normal person, a wise person, wouldn't say that. Right away they will start to collect and save as much grain as possible. So likewise, we know that flood of death is coming. We don't know how long, but it is coming. So before it reaches us, we should make sure that we collect those grains. We engage, we collect some virtue. And then the second is like, those are, of course you can see that, the soldiers. So if you know that the opponent, your enemy, is going to attack you, but you don't know the time, you definitely know that they are going to attack you. It could be today, it could be tonight, it could be tomorrow. So if you have that information, would you just idly sit there? Would you just carry on with your usual things? No. You will be very, heedful. You will prepare for it. You will create the barrier. You will have all these weapons ready. And you will also try not to sleep. And you will react to any sounds just to be ready. So likewise, we know that death can come any minute, any time. So we should be like the soldiers are prepared. We should be ready. We should be doing something, preparing for that. So this is such a good analogy, and I like that. That captures the whole contemplation. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. So in our case here, a man who has lived practicing Dharma is prepared to die any time. That's the end of today's